Asia's rapid integration into the world economy has been one of the most striking development in the last generation. And in that relatively short time period, many countries across this vast and diverse region have achieved economic miracles, and several have become powerhouse of the global economy. For the past 25 years, the Asian crisis notwithstanding, the region's economy has grown at an average of about 6%. And in the aftermath of the financial crisis, Asia was a bright spot. Added to that, economic transformation has actually supported social development. Over the past 35 years, the region has been the world's leader in reducing poverty. Education and health outcomes have improved significantly, and people's living standards have been raised. Asia has also become a byword for innovation. I don't think anywhere in the world there are people who actually are not touched or do not touch Asia's innovation products. Think about smartphones, think about cars, think about televisions, but also think about biotechnology, commercial satellites, and renewable energy. Now, this increased connectedness that Asia has actually instrumented also means that Asia is more deeply affected by the global economy and by its developments. And that global economy is actually facing significant challenges. Volatile markets and capital flows, significant economic transitions, financial tightening in many economies, the large drop in commodity prices, including oil, and escalated geopolitical conflicts. So what should be Asia's response? Well, some of the broad principles are well known. Supportive monetary policy, consistent with price and external stability objectives, one of which has been clearly identified by India back in February 2015. Growth-friendly fiscal measures, macroprudential measures to safeguard financial stability. Now, of course, I'm saying that with a very broad brush, and each of those policies should be adapted to each country and tailored to the special circumstances. But one thing is for sure, most of the countries have to undertake significant structural reforms in order to boost productivity, growth, and create jobs. Let me give you a few examples taken from some of your own countries. In China, it will be important to improve the allocation of credit to help rebalance the economy away from a debt-led investment. In Japan, tackling dual labor markets, liberalizing product markets, and reforming corporate governance. In India, enhancing the efficiency of product markets, encouraging private investment, improving infrastructure and banks' balance sheets. In many countries, from emerging to low income, strengthening the business environment and developing bond markets. Successfully dealing with these kinds of structural issues will not only support Asia's near and medium-term prospects, but it also will secure the foundations in order to help the region unleash its full potential. Indian Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore once said, "You cannot cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water." Well, certainly, Asia has done a lot more than that, but there is still a lot more to be done. Across the region, income inequality has worsened since 1990. We just recently published a study that concludes that income inequality has increased in 15 of the 22 Asian economies since 1990. And Asia remains home to 2/3 of the world's poor, many of whom live in this country. In most of the region, women and young people are still finding it difficult to access the job market. Now, if we look at it from another perspective, what sounds daunting can actually be also analyzed as significant opportunities. Because what about if income inequality could be reversed, if poverty could continue to be reduced, if women were empowered, and if growth was made more inclusive and more sustainable? What if Asia's 4.4 billion people could actually unleash their full potential? Let me suggest 6 ideas that could actually help turn what seems daunting into opportunities. First of all, broadening access to services like health and finance. India, for example, is targeting universal access to banking services by 2018, as you had explained to me, Mr. Prime Minister. And through the, forgive the pronunciation, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana scheme, over 210 million previously unbanked people have now opened a bank account since August 2014 with social transfers paid directly. Second, leveraging the impact of fiscal policy. And that means targeting the social spending on those who need it most. Countries such as the Philippines, for instance, have pioneered conditional cash transfer programs. It also needs to avoid costly across-the-board subsidies and making taxes more progressive. With the Aadhaar system, India has come up with a groundbreaking way to deliver targeted subsidies. Almost 1 billion people have Aadhaar numbers and the potential to use this for delivering payment and other services. And I understand that under the bill that was voted yesterday, all such transfers will have to actually be made through that Aadhaar system, which will be critically important for women. And this brings me to my third point. The empowering of women is essential, whether by enhancing girls' access to high-quality education, dismantling legal and logistical barriers to economic participation, or making simply women's life when they go to work a little bit easier. An initiative of Prime Minister Modi's government, for example, is to improve women's wealth services under Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Tackling duality and informality in labour market will also bring more young people into formal jobs, providing particularly welcome boost in countries with ageing population. Fourth, with more than 800 million people in Asia lacking access to water, sanitation and electricity, inclusive growth also means investing in infrastructure and making sure that that investment actually is efficient. Fifth, greater trade integration can actually help and be of significant contribution to the development of growth. And if multilateral trade liberalization are not successful enough, certainly the avenue of bilateral or regional trade liberalization agreement can be helpful. Finally, there is the climate change challenge. Last December, 186 countries decided to contribute together to limiting the negative impact of climate change. Now, the promises that they made, as good as they are, will only be as good as they are delivered. And clearly that will go through carbon pricing, energy subsidy reforms, which is an effort that is undertaken in this region. Yes, they are daunting, all those challenges, and the proposals are difficult to implement. But I've visited Asia many, many times in the last 20 years or so, and I've always seen that positive attitude, that can-do attitude, that can actually move mountains, and I'm sure that Asia will demonstrate its ability to face those challenges with success. I'm pleased to say that the IMF will be Asia's partner in that endeavor. Earlier this year, quota and governance reforms was finally implemented. And I'm very pleased and proud to say that India has now joined China and Japan in the list of the top 10 members of the IMF. This was overdue. Late last year, we also decided to include the renminbi in the basket that determines the value of the special drawing rights. And it is joining, of course, the other Asian currency, the yen. Another milestone which is yet to come is that in 2018, the annual meetings of the IMF will take place in Indonesia. And here we are, in New Delhi, holding that regional conference and also, very importantly, inaugurating the first ever new regional training and technical assistance center for South Asia. This is the first time that we're actually bringing together technical assistance and training into one single hub that will serve many other countries in the region.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.